Scott, to Grant, and to all of our cyber traders live inside our trading room. Welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, this April 3rd, top of the month to all of us here as well. And for all of us joining us back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. Great to see all of us live collectively here. So let's head to, INDO to begin. Market here has been pretty flat. Scott actually saying, or Sam actually saying in the chat board a moment ago, I'm sorry, Sam, saying GFAI is flying. Well, we'll check out that stock in just a moment. Hey, INDO for right now. This is one of the oil energy stocks from pre-market this morning. We ended up trading it early, after 8 o'clock at least, but, ended up just making a big move once again. And I say once again, not just from pre-market, but, well, the stock is a familiar name back from like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was at this point back from the beginning of 22, at least you could see the big squeeze, the big pop and drop from back then. So, I say it on this stock like I do all the time on these runners that are up big, that are up 30% today, or hell, a lot more, like GFAI, like Sam called out. Uh, if this stock can make a fraction of the type of run that it made for us back in the beginning of last year, where it went up to like 90 plus or near 90, I should say, that's a home run. So for right now, hey, this is as good of a trade as we can get for right now. I'm going to start off by putting this on our list. Just look out for resistance. I had these levels lined up from pre-market early this morning. After 8 o'clock, I started my prep work for the morning. So, it ended up ultimately bouncing off historical support, historical level at least. You could actually see it on the weekly graph here too. I drew it at 570. So that was a pretty clean support back from last year as well. And thankfully today, off the gap up, it ended up pulling back and holding as support. And now at this point, holding under big volume level from pre-market. We were talking about this level just a moment ago in the chat board here, right off 645, both 645 and 650. After that, what's next? I'd assume I plotted just whole number levels after that. 7. Oh, you know what? 730. There was a big iceberg level there. Let me bring up Bookmap. Let me bring up level 4. There's a lot to talk about here. So I refilled up the old water bottle before I started. A couple water breaks in between today. But with that said, at least on the INDO, take a look at this. Now it's starting to make a little bit more sense, starting to line up now, going into the close now at this point. But, at 730, there was a 22,000 plus share iceberg on the ask right off the, INDO here. So, yeah, for right now, it's still holding strong, moving on up pretty nicely. That iceberg order is still there, 22,000 at 730. That's been there since pre-market. That's why I put a line there on my chart, just to kind of remind myself of that. But hey, in the interim, in between, shortly prior to 130, we ended up seeing this huge iceberg pop up. Also, I didn't recognize this until now. So what is that? 713, basically. 715, 713 right there. Was that there you go. 715 for about 50,000 shares on the ask. So, that even creates an even larger resistance to work off of. So I'd say both. I'd say both at this point. Honestly, probably just move my line here. Just kind of leave it right there for right now. All right. So, yeah, INDO definitely going to put on our list for the meantime, though. It's just tradable. Nice move up off historical support, trending up with higher lows right now. Let's take a look at the other energy and oil stocks right now. HUSA from pre-market, it's not doing nearly as much. 9, not going anywhere right now. What was the other one? USCG, same deal here. Broke below 2. Looks like there's a little historical level, or a couple of them I plotted right off of 85 and 87 here, but I'm not looking for any like big squeeze off those prices at this point. You want to follow the trends. So, I'm going to put the INDO on our list to begin. Obviously, we got a couple folks here talking about GFAI. I know Sam from earlier when we started the meeting, Milton talking about it now. Yeah, I mean, of course, this ended up just making a new high, but made such a nice pop from the morning session here. So let's go over this briefly. We'll talk more about this trade likely in our Traders Talk workshop tomorrow morning inside our live trading room at least. So if you're on social media, you got to join our live trading room for this week's edition. Just join by going right down to the link on the green banner below on the bottom of the stream there. We'll start it tomorrow, normal time, 11 o'clock Eastern time inside our live trading room. So to Milton, Leda, Dan, Michael, Ron, etc., well, you folks have my email, certainly. But to any of our new members joining us, there it is, Josh at ctutrading.com for our weekly workshop tomorrow, Traders Talk. If there are any key questions or trades that you wanted to go over in particular, send it over. Just title the email Traders Talk there, perhaps. But I'd say certainly GFAI will be one that will take a little bit more time to talk about in full. Either way, ended up popping shortly after the open, really from like what seems to be the pre-market highs here. What is that, off 970-ish, 950? It wasn't like 10. It broke over these highs, and then from that point, ripped over 10 and flew. So ended up just getting halted over and over on the way up. I don't think it got halted on the way down at this point yet, but I think there was one coming up later on, if I'm not mistaken. No, it wasn't there after 12 o'clock. Maybe it was here prior to 1:30. Just this thing had some nasty shakes for the moves up that this thing had. You would figure at some point after such a big shake to see lower highs, to see a lower low, see break below the VWAP line, maybe perhaps. This thing just kept giving actually throughout the afternoon. So you don't expect it. But for a stock up at this point at the highs heading into the afternoon, we'll definitely put it on our list. And you could already see now it's taken off like, a couple points up already off the highs. And you would expect your next major resistance to be off of 20. Milton says he tried shorting it, but missed it at 1950. I hope you weren't trying to short it from earlier in the day, though. That's the thing. So, this type of trade, you don't want to try and short it as it's on the way up here. When it breaks through a big level on the way down, exactly how we teach it in class, right? Each and every time. I'd focus on the run up first. I'd focus on the test at 20 first and then see where it can go. But, otherwise, yeah, I'm going to put this on our main list for sure. All right. I mean, hey, look what happened to AI. Look what happened to AI over the weekend. Look what happened just all last week. Don't try and short this thing off the highs. I know there's a couple folks that look to short off highs. Don't directly do it because that's how you get your account blown to smithereens, right? We've been there. You don't catch bottoms. You don't try and short tops. It's got to be specific guidelines. For instance, here on the AI trade. I mean, hey, right now it's still holding pretty strong over the March monthly close, the closing price from Friday last week. So not just daily close, but it's actually a weekly close, not even a monthly close, even, but that was actually a quarterly close, I think, right? That was the end of the quarter, if I'm not mistaken. So how about that? 32.57 has been holding 33.57, my dyslexia getting in there. 33.57 on AI. Ended up holding extremely well, though, across the afternoon. So I wouldn't look to short this right now, even if you were able to get the shares. If it smashes below 33.57, that could potentially provide the chance. Then you set your stop tight and all that stuff. But, hey, just kind of transitioning over to AI now, another stock from earlier today that we definitely had our eye on. The other AI stocks like BBAI and SOUN, both made better pushes. We'll talk about those next, actually. But for right now, AI to put back on our list, yeah, it's hard for us not to. Oh, really quick, by the way, this is something I don't know. So if anyone knows this or wants to find out during the meeting, please, if you could. Silly question. I think I even know the answer. You just see it in the damn name, actually. I was going to loosely ask, hey, is GFAI AI-based stock too? And the simple answer, yes, it's Guard Force AI Company. How about that? So it's blatantly in the name, pretty similar to BBAI, right? Big Bear.ai Holdings. So we're a lot more familiar with this one. It's nice to have another one in the arsenal, though, right? With GFAI now. Cool. Now this one, BBAI up over 26%. It's been a great trade all day. Been a great trade off 275. I wrote in the chat board earlier inside our live trading room that one of our students, Jeff, and I were on a coaching call earlier from 11:30 to 12 o'clock. So it was kind of wrapping up the coaching call at the time. But I wrote right away in the chat board. I'll timestamp it there. 11:55. We are looking for BBAI to re-break above 275. I was right there where my cursor is. So it led to a nice pop, and resistance became support over time. So it led to a nice quick trade, but then led to the higher high later on. Broke under it. Thankfully, where you could say it didn't have to, but it ended up being strong enough to provide a second chance. And once it did, there was no looking back. So it was pretty good to have. If you had yourself focused on that specific price, gives you a good chance to jump back in, like myself did. John, I think Kathleen, ended up getting some money on it earlier. So yeah, BBAI definitely put back on here as well. The SOUN trade similar. All right. So with that, a quick water break in between. We got a good list so far. INDO so far makes the list. And then the four different AI stocks now, including that GFAI. So let's just rip it from top to bottom. Let's see what else we could put back on our list here. SPY making a nice little squeeze back up right now. So, hey, maybe a couple of names popping up coming up here. NOGN. I didn't really notice this until actually maybe like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like prepping up for this meeting. So I guess this had a huge pop and then drop. I was a lot more focused on the AI trades myself. If you were focused on the pre-market watch list and the morning watch list, then you had your bread buttered, right? You did well today on any one of these trades that we were calling out. It was a really good start to the week. Good start to the month. Good start to the quarter too. Now with that, AMST ended up making a nice squeeze off like 1:30 Eastern time, where it broke the highs from 320. Kind of skimpy volume on the order book. Looks like it's starting to get a bit more active now, and it's still at the highs here for right now going into the afternoon. So it's hard for us to ignore this trade, but I like the others a lot more first. Like all the other AI stocks, the other stocks we were talking about. I'm going to put this on our main list, but if we come back to it and it's like tanking, then we'll scrap it. Cano, CANO, stock had a huge drop off or gap down from Friday from the end of last week. Uh, Ended up dropping all the way down to like sub 80, squeezed back up. But I mean, hey, I don't know what happened here this morning, whether news came out or not. Cano Health, but ended up making an enormous move up from like 90 cents up to 135. The only issue on this trade to me is that it's like too liquid. There is just too much volume on the order book for me to expect for this to cut through in order for it to make a respectable run, for us to like get like 30, 40 cents on it. A really good push, right? How often is it that a $1.30 stock makes a 30, 40 cent push? It's not every day, but a lot more often than you think if you're new to CTU or new to these meetings, if you're on social media. So, with that in mind, the stock could potentially make the move, but it's just a little too liquid, I think. All right, we keep it going. Now we're kind of in cheapy territory here between MMAT, ENSV here. We kind of skip over those. Uh, HCDI, nothing happening there. VNet had a nice push today and a little less liquid compared to the other one. So if it ends up popping by the end of this meeting, maybe I'll reconsider it. Looking a little flat for right now, though. Holding over support technically off of 4 and the VWAP, but it looks like it slowed down a lot. Had a really good push from the morning session, though. The stock was on the pre-market watch list, if not also the morning watch list as well. But yeah, I mean, hey, could be a good stock to follow. Maybe tomorrow morning, keep it on your side list. Who knows? Maybe by the end of this meeting, we'll come back to it, perhaps. BRN, not much happening there. And that's why we kind of pick and choose, right? Because this SCYX definitely looking a lot stronger, not just in terms of trend, but also in terms of liquidity and the amount of volume per minute the stock is trading. So really strong run. I like it. I'm right away going to put this on the main list, SCYX. I know a couple of us were calling it out earlier. Now with that, let me just jump to the weekly chart here. Ooh, the stock has a nice resistance here. It looks like a beautiful pattern off the lows, higher lows technically. And yes, you can kind of just draw the trend line itself off said lows, but right off of 343-ish, 350-ish. And then, of course, like I said, you can kind of connect the dots off the lows historically. That was a very sloppy trend line I drew. But, nice movement on this SCYX. I like it. There we go, Milton. Nice catch. You caught a quick long, if anything, right? On the way up, right? Nice in and out. Definitely on the GFAI, regardless long or short, you got to just be quick, right? I have zero problem leaving, initial money on the table there. Notice how I said initial, because the more money you leave on the table, it's definitely a bit more frustrating. So, yeah, if it like blasts up to $30, it's like, all right, come on. It goes up 50 cents. All right, whatever. That stock's so volatile that can make a 50-cent drop off in just a second, too. CEI, look at this nice little run back up right now. I wasn't exactly expecting that. I was just going to more so go over the pop that it had from the morning session here. Beautiful pennant that ended up filling in sideways, dropped off right now. There we go. Sam saying GFAI running over 20. Here we go. Let's see what happens, though, because this might be where you can get the over and under. Let's see. We'll come back to it, but there's your 20 test. And you could see a larger spike of volume at the time, at least, considering the past 5, 7, 8, 10 bars prior. All right, cool. Folks, we got a good list already. I mean, there's definitely a good need to go to the loser side right now, seeing if there's any other opportunities that could be, hell, even a dead cat bounce. Like, who knows? I'm just going to check. Pally, I know, dropped off early this morning. Not doing much right now, at least. MCOM, ANVS. I'm not expecting a whole lot. Just got to do my job. Oh, yeah, I tell you, I mean, it's expected. Market's squeezing back up right now. Market was pushing up early this morning. Not a whole lot that stands out on the loser side here. If anything, I remember this FRO was down early this morning, dropped off after the open as well. Shortable, nice little trade there at least, but making a smaller bounce back up right now. If it was closer to the lows right now at this time, I'd be more inclined to put it back on our list. All right, so that in total makes 2, 4, 6, 7, 7 different stocks on the main list. Then, like I said, I'll come back to VNet. Is that popping back up again? I wasn't really thinking it's a terrible one to put on our main list here still. It's like not tanking. Looks like kind of flat. Hopefully by 3:30, more volume comes in on this trade. You know what? I kind of sold myself on putting this on our list. I'll do it. And AMST, look at that now. Wow. All right. So this was the one I was kind of like, most iffy on, but I had on our list anyway. And this thing since has just been on a tear, definitely proving me wrong. So yeah, definitely proving it's worth here on our list for right now. Let's just check the historicals here, see if there's any levels to watch here from the daily, weekly, monthly, if anything. I'm not going to go through the whole shebang, but I'd say about 485, $5 right around there. Just kind of loosely looking at this bottom here. That should be a pretty strong top coming up. If not today, then perhaps tomorrow morning. But definitely looks strong right now to where you can get a test at least up towards like 485. We'll see. All right, so let me just check social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, the works first, see if there's anything from that side initially. I do not have anything right now. Hey, if there's anything that looks good, folks, up, down, left, right, type it in the chat board. Let me know if there's any stocks that you'd want me to go over or look at. Hey, Tesla was on a tear back from Friday last week, right? You know what's crazy? And this is just the idiocracy of trading altogether, actually, regardless if it's in crypto or in stocks. You hear what happened with Elon, because obviously now he's with Twitter, and Twitter is not publicly traded. You know what happened? I think he changed the Twitter logo today. Check this out. Actually, I'm going to pull this crap up right now because this is just, it relates to trading stocks. It happens on that side of the field as well. But I think Elon today, as a joke, he ended up tweeting or changing the company logo of Twitter from the Twitter bird to the Dogecoin dog, if you know what that means, if you're familiar with that. Well, with that in mind, look what happened to this stupid crypto today and the Dogecoin, Dogcoin. Look at this pop. This came out at like 1:30 in the afternoon today. Boop. All off of that. How about that? Has nothing to do with this afternoon list here normally, folks. I just wanted to kind of go over just like it's so silly why any ticker, any asset, equities, options, obviously crypto here, why anything can make a pop. Hey, I was looking at Tesla just for a moment just to see what happened given from Friday's run. Is it still strong? Markets are squeezing back up. I'm not as in tune with Tesla news in particular. So if there's something else that came out on top with Tesla, obviously, not just freaking Dogecoin, then that, of course, then leads to the drop off today where it's down over 6% still. So I just wanted to look at this one pretty quickly. Obviously, more expensive, but maybe it could be a dead cat bounce than anything. Trade the Tesla ETF, TSLL. Give that a look, maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud there. All right. Andrea says there was a rumor on the weekend that the SEC has 40% of Doge on its books. That I'm not going to get into as much. I don't know as much about that, Andrea, but geez, That's a whole separate conversation that certainly you and I will catch up on probably through text message at some point this week, I'd imagine. I'll catch up with you soon. But yeah, we'll talk more about that probably this week. But right now, I mean, this could be on our side list, TSLL, the Tesla ETF, if anything. All right, folks, I like what we got right now. No other real rhyme or reason to put anything else on our main list. I like what we have here, so let's stick with it. For all of us in social media, hey, if you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room, last call on that, at least before our weekly workshop tomorrow, Traders Talk. You get 1 day free access. Just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there at the bottom to get yourself signed up. And then from there for Traders Talk, you'll be able to join us inside our live trading room for that. If you look to do that, feel free to shoot me a quick email if you have any questions. Regardless, if you're joining our trading room, I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, josh@c2trading.com. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day today. Hopefully, we catch you back inside our live trading room for tomorrow. But for Michael, for Leda, for Dan, for Sam, Andrea, Wendy, and for all of us here live, I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30, I believe. Got the trading itch still. It's been a nice day, but you know what? Let's start off the month. Let's start off the quarter pretty nicely. Also, I got a little Passover budget here I got to pay for. So, let's just try and get some more profit here into the close. So, all right, folks, I'll catch you with everyone coming up pretty shortly. Talk to you soon.